Thanks, Dean.
Recording in progress.
Mr. Westman. I'd like to call to order the meeting, December 19th meeting of the Plan Commission of the City of Hammond. Would you please rise and join with me in the call in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we get a roll call, Ms. Morris-Smith, please?
Sure. Roger Brock.
Here.
Michael Dye. Ann Herbert. William Hutton.
Here. Thomas
Kazmierzak.
Here.
Dan Spitali.
Here.
Sharon Zaney.
Here.
Marcus Taylor.
Here.
7 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mrs. Morris-Smith. Next item on the agenda is item 3, approval of the meeting minutes for October 17th, 2022. Board, you should have received in your packet a action of the meeting of the Hammond Plan Commission for October 17th, 2022. I hope you have all had an opportunity to review the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Make motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Spitali, properly seconded by Commissioner Taylor. It's been moved and properly seconded for approval of the meeting minutes of October 17th, 2022. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak.
Yes.
Dan Spitali.
Yes.
Sharon Zaney.
Yes.
Marcus Taylor.
Yes.
Dean Button.
Yes.
7 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Motion passed.
Thank you kindly. Next item is approval of the meeting minutes for November 21st, 2022.
I'd like to make that motion to approve those minutes.
Thank you kindly, Commissioner Hutton, seconded by Commissioner Zaney. It's been moved and properly seconded to approve the meeting minutes of November 21st, 2022. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
Ann Herbert.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak.
Yes.
Dan Spitali.
Yes.
Sharon Zaney.
Yes.
Marcus Taylor.
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Motion passed.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is old business. Is there any old business, Mr. Novak?
No.
Thank you kindly. Item number 5 is new business. CP 22-16, petition of the Hammond Redevelopment Commission to reclassify property at 2512 New York Avenue from C4 General Commercial District to S2 Institutional District to construct, operate, and maintain collegiate athletic and sports fields and their auxiliary buildings within the city of Hammond, Lake County, Indiana. Mrs. Morris-Smith, have the notification requirements for this petition been met?
Yes, they have.
Thank you kindly. I understand that our Director of City Planning, Mr. Brian Poland, will act on behalf of the Hammond Redevelopment Commission as petitioner. Mr. Poland.
Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. As indicated by the President, I am speaking on behalf of the Hammond Redevelopment Commission for the proposal to rezone the property at 2512 New York Avenue. If you're familiar with the location of this property, this at one time was collectively known as 2500 New York and was a part of the Standard Oil Amoco research facility. This was one of their office buildings was on this property. It was demolished in anticipation of constructing a hospital up in this portion of Robertsdale. So at the time of the hospital project, the Redevelopment Commission was still the owner of the property and was petitioned to rezone the property from its industrial classification to C4 general commercial. That project did not happen. And over time, other uses of the property came to bear. The property was subdivided in 2016. At that time, 2 lots were created under the Gaspar Gardens addition, and the parcels were split by a proposed extension of 125th Street that would connect, obviously, the property or the street on the east side of New York Avenue to the portion of 125th Street that's on the west side, or Gaspar Avenue. The property north of this street is where that portion was rezoned from the C4 to the S2 to let Calumet College construct the dormitories. So one of the proposed 4 dormitories has been constructed and is operational. So what that left was this residual section of the original 2500 New York property in that C4 zoning. So from the standpoint of what could happen with this property under C4, pretty much any commercial use could be allowed to go on this property, and then it opens up a whole bunch of conditional use options that may not be appropriate for this part of the city. So most recently, the Redevelopment Commission has been in conversations with Calumet College and are working out whether or not they're going to be a lease arrangement for this property at 2512 New York for the Calumet College to lease it for potentially some playing fields and other activities that would kind of help enhance the college campus. I'm not privy to exactly at what status that negotiation has occurred, but I do know it has started, and appraisals of the property have already started. So what the Redevelopment Commission wants to do is request that this property be rezoned to the S2, which is akin or more appropriate use because it's the institutional use. That is what the college use is. And then that will help eliminate the possibility of some commercial uses that wouldn't be appropriate for this area. Do you have any questions about what the request of the Redevelopment Commission is?
Questions from the commission to the petitioner? No questions, Mr. Poland.
Okay.
This ends your presentation.
Yes, that ends my presentation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Poland. So the next part of this is for us to open up a public hearing to solicit public comment for this petition. So as the chair, I'd like to open up a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of this petition, please come forward. Thank you. I recognize Councilman Kowinski of the 1st District. Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I recognize you too. Thank you for the moment. I do support this. The college is growing. Their numbers are growing. In the recent years, they put up a new building that's used as a gym for basketball, volleyball, and other activities. The dorm recently went up and is fully occupied. And they started or were part of co-founding a football league that is for 175-pound players and less, and had a successful season this first year in the autumn that just passed in doing that. So they're interested in growing. They're looking for ways to do that. I think having this area rezoned to S2 is a way to help them provide green space and some practice fields for some of their teams that require such a space. So I am in favor of this. I do think that this is a good idea, and I think the college will benefit. And at the end of the day, I believe the city will benefit as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone wishing to speak in against or in remonstration against this petition? Could you please sign in, state your name and your address, please, for the commission?
Hi. Oh, hi.
Hi.
I'm David Pustek, and I live on 2523 New York Avenue. Okay? And there's a couple of things I want to say up front before I start, or before I start my statement. Our councilman is a former student of the college, but he has not asked or listen to any of the area residents. So he doesn't even live in Robertsdale. So you can use that and weigh in his credibility, to this. Second of all, seems like I'm the only one here from the area residents, so that kind of like should give you an idea of the failure of your communication process. I know you follow the legal state statutes, to notify people. But like for me, I received the notice late Thursday, and that only gave me Friday to make arrangements to come to this meeting. So this has been mentioned several times before, and nothing has ever been done about it. So to me, it's like an intentional way of discouraging participations in these meetings. Okay. I'm not doing very well, so but I understand that I can ask you guys that. I have a written statement, 2 pages, should be about 3 minutes, long. I'd like to submit the statements to you and have you read it into the records. Okay?
Sure.
Thank you. And do I sit down? Oh,
You're welcome to sit down.
thanks.
Am I reading? You reading? You reading? Doesn't matter. People don't want to hear my voice.
My name is David Pustek, and I live at 2523 New York Avenue. This is Kitty Corner, and it's no more than 100 feet from the property at 2512 New York. From sitting on my front porch, I have an unobstructed view of the wildlife activities that take place on the acres. I see deer that come to feed each night. I see geese, ducks, rabbits, squirrels, raccoon, possums, and even saw a wild turkey the other day. I see eagles circling overhead and watch hawks prey on the many bird species. I see drama and hear the clanging of bucks' antlers when sparring and witness the efforts of coyotes going after the deer. This is the last bit of green space for those of us living on New York and is a small reprieve from being mostly surrounded by an oil tank farm. All this will disappear once the college bulldozes the area and the Hammond government continues to endorse one religion to the exclusion of other religions and secular organizations. At the 11/1/22 Redevelopment Commission meeting, Mr. Westman stated the college wants to keep the property to manicure and maintain it. The college does not manicure its property. One just has to look how the college maintains the newly transferred property at 2450 New York. Only a riding mower is used and there is no trimming, edging, picking up debris, or weed whacking the excess growth. The Hammond Port Authority is responsible for 2512 property upkeep, but they do a very poor job. The surrounding residents have taken on the task of cleaning up the blighted area. One providing a riding mower, another gas, another lawn tools, and still another providing brown lawn debris bags. Neighbors walk the acres picking up debris and branches, and at times you can see about 10 brown bags ready to be picked up by the city. Polly John often assists in using their machinery to pick up piles of raked debris and then places it in their waste containers. One neighbor walks the acres looking for golf balls, who then gives them to the fire department. The college does not help in this community effort. If you want to know the definition of manicure, look at these two properties and witness the difference. 2512 is regularly used by residents for dog walking, playing catch, practicing golf swings, or cutting through to get to the Wildlife Observatory Pier. These acres are preferred over the new created playground set at Amico Park. No one uses Amico Park except utility trucks that park for lunch. It fails to compete with the more elaborate Smolin Park a couple blocks away. The college originally owned this property and the property at 2450 New York. The college abandoned the property, leaving the city to use $800,000 of taxpayer funds to prepare the property for sale and development. The college then reclaimed the property and the city offered a sweetheart deal and waived a $300,000 plus sale price. This was opposed by the area resident. During a redevelopment commission meeting, the public comment portion, Mr. Westman told the commissioners and the speaker that after a year of promoting the property for sale, the college was the only one interested in the property. I have knowledge that Polly John submitted a $3 million proposal for the property, and I remember that proposal not being included in the documents received from my FOIA request. I don't understand this conflict, but it does lean towards the Hammond government endorsing one religion over secular. In addition, the college held a groundbreaking ceremony and started construction on the property before the public meeting concerning the transfer and before the Common Council cast the final vote approving the transfer. All of this is very suspicious, and like the transfer of 2450, the final outcome here seems to be a given, and the process seems to be rigged in favor of a tax-exempt private religious institution. One other thing, I thought my property would be safe distance from the newly built dorms. I can see the dorm from my porch, and I can hear the loud talking and the booze parties during the weekends. With the intention of this property being used for sporting events, this will greatly disturb the peace of the surrounding neighborhood. I am only 100 feet away from this property, and this will aggravate mine and others' health conditions. The Hammond redevelopment request for rezoning only supports and benefits the college and eliminates the property from being a tax revenue source for the city. At a minimum, rezoning should be postponed until the process is more transparent. Please say no to the rezoning. This is a land grab. And finally, the development plan display shows 125th Street being extended to Gaspar. Will the building of the road be funded by taxpayers? And if so, at what cost? And what is the justification, since the extended road would only benefit the college? David J. Pustak, 12/19/22.
Thank you, Mr. Pustek. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to remonstrate against this petition? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to simply comment about this petition? Anyone on our electronic media virtual meeting wishing to make a comment on this petition? Seeing none, this public hearing is now closed. Mr. Poland, as the petitioner, would you like to make any responses regarding the comments that were made prior to?
Yeah, I will address some of the matters. Okay. I'm kind of, some of the comments were matters of perhaps staff versus redevelopment commission. So I'm kind of caught between which hat I am wearing. But I'm going to try and speak from the redevelopment commission standpoint, and if Mr. Westland can help me if I falter on some of the technicalities of it. The property owned by the redevelopment commission, maintained by the Port Authority on behalf of the redevelopment commission. This matter has been brought up at various public meetings as to the remonstrators' comments about the quality of the upkeep. And this information has been handled by the executive director in communications with the director of the Port Authority, and I presume on their behalf that this will be attended to in when the weather is appropriate to mow grass. I'm going to be a little bold in saying that I think perhaps a lot of people in the greater municipality, the greater city, appreciate the current the concerns that were expressed by the remonstrator, and appreciate the idea or the thought behind that they take pride in this property. But I know from comments with the executive director that there are concerns that when the neighbors, as at least stated, come onto our property and are mowing or weeding, it crosses a line into a form of trespass. And that we, as a redevelopment commission, with the Port Authority, maintain the property, and it is a bit, we do our job, and I don't think anyone understands why that there's a need to have the public or the residents feel that they have to do what we are doing already. I am unaware of an offer of Polyjohn, but I will kind of slightly step over into my role, my job role as far as the Director of City Planning. Even if Polyjohn had expressed interest in the property, the question that would be is for what purpose? And that between the Redevelopment Commission as an owner, the Plan Commission as its role in making a recommendation to the City Council on the appropriate zoning would be a factor, as well as the Council's final decision as to what the appropriate zoning is whether or not Polyjohn as an industrial use would be the appropriate use to allow its expansion. And I think what the Redevelopment Commission has demonstrated, I think with the housing that have been built along New York Avenue, as well as Deedlow Parkway, to change the character of this neighborhood, to change it from the heavy industry that the Standard Oil Amoco facility used to be, is to be a betterment for the city, to minimize the those more intrusive uses rather than having people's homes or a college. If there are concerns about the noise coming from the dormitory, I think that it would be a matter addressed directly to the college. That's their responsibility to maintain their facilities, their residents of their dormitories, and there are noise ordinances that should be, that they have to comply with. The act of what this plan commission is doing and what the redevelopment request is we go out transparently to the public to let everybody know in a public setting, in a public hearing, broadcast, as well as in live in this room. The notifications are complied with. That's been verified by the secretary to the Plan Commission, and that we know that they were mailed out appropriately in the appropriate time. It is unfortunately not something we can control when it comes to how quickly the Postal Service delivers certified mail. It is not the Postal Service's control as to when a resident chooses to pick up certified mail. Those are just beyond their control. As far as the idea of building a road there, this is something that when the Plan Commission discussed this at the subdivision, we planned for the possibility of a roadway a street being extended. It's platted that way. We have not had any current discussions about the actual construction of it. We don't know what the costs are going to be. And presumably, building a public street would be the responsibility of the municipality. So I believe I've addressed the majority of the comments.
Thank you, Mr. Poland. Questions from the commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Poland. Next step in the process is to hear from the staff, to present the staff findings and a recommendation to the Plan Commission on this petition. Mr. Novak.
I'm just going to go ahead and read the staff recommendation of the report. The staff recommends that the Plan Commission forward the petition to the City Council with a favorable recommendation, and if the Plan Commission agrees with the recommendation, the staff requests that this report is adopted by the Plan Commission as preliminary findings of fact in case CP 2216.
Mr. Novak, could you help us a little bit through the analysis
Yes,
for which
of
you
course.
got to that recommendation?
So there's 5 criteria to be addressed when considering a zoning petition. We took a look at, what has been the historical use, which was industrial, the fact that it has been vacant for well over a decade, that according to the comprehensive land use plan, that we should foster future development compatible with the natural environment in residential areas. And following the Lost Marsh Golf Course development, we thought that the zone of S2, the expansion of Calumet College of St. Joseph would be more in line with these natural and residential uses. The Director of City Planning, Brian Poland, went over how it has its current C4 general commercial designation. It's open to a number of uses that may not be compatible, such as general retail, which would be even more increased traffic than, an S2 use, arguably. We felt that an S2 institutional use fits with the Calumet College of St. Joseph's expansion plans, and it provides for a transition between the various neighboring uses of S1, I1, and R1U. We thought that, finding a developer, after, years of looking for one, that this certain development would have a positive effect on property values, given that it's been a vacant property with a dilapidated parking lot for some time. We are hoping that the location of the dormitory and the predetermined scheduling of events will help mitigate any traffic issues. And as far as responsible development and growth, we thought this was a unique opportunity for a collegiate entity in the city of Hammond to develop an attractive new athletic and sports facility grounds that could potentially transform this part of Robertsdale. Upon approval of the rezone petition, I also want to stress that there will be further negotiations before any land is leased to Calumet College of St. Joseph, and that we are not voting on any of the site plans or anything like that, and that those things will likely have to come back in front of some body in the future, and that the city staff will review at that time as well. Any questions?
Questions for Mr. Novak? Mr. Novak, this is I'm going to have a hard time, I think, formulating my question to you. I'll do the best I can, but do you in any way feel, as your position within the city planning department, that the city is making some sort of overt or covert bias towards development of this parcel related to religious preferences or religious bias in any way?
I think any of that would just be incidental, since it is a educational body. It also happens to be a religious body, but I think its primary service to the community is education. And as stated before, we've offered this. We've made offers. Put this property out on the market before. I believe there is a request for proposal for leases out now. So it's not just Calumet College of St. Joseph that has been eligible to make proposals. And again, I believe that their status as a Catholic institution is incidental to the situation at hand.
Has the city done other sorts of improvements like this for other institutional higher education learning properties throughout the city?
Well, certainly.
To your knowledge.
Well, certainly we've worked with Purdue, Calumet, now Purdue Northwestern in the past, with helping them utilize Dowling Park and the Cube Sports Complex for their sports programs, as well as the dormitories that were built south of 173rd Street. I personally have not been involved in those, but I'm aware of them in the past.
Thank you for your comments. Any other questions for Mr. Novak? Okay. Hearing none, I guess I'd ask what the pleasure is of the Plan Commission. You have a staff recommendation that the Plan Commission forward this petition to the City Council with a favorable recommendation. Is there such a motion on the floor?
Mr. President, I'll make that motion.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Kazmierzak. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Zaney to approve the action of reclassifying the property at 2512 New York Avenue from C4 General Commercial District to S2 Institutional District. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion?
If I may, you said approve. It's favorable recommendation to the City
Favorable
Council.
recommendation. That's the motion.
Yes.
Motion has been made to make a favorable recommendation to the City Council on this petition. Thank you, Mr. Pullen. Is there any discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
Ann Herbert,
Yes.
William Hutton,
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak,
Yes.
Dan Spitali. Yes. Sharon Zaney. Yes. Marcus Taylor.
Yes.
Dean Button.
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Thank you. The Chair would entertain a motion that the Plan Commission adopt this report as a preliminary finding of fact.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Brock. Is there a second? Second. It's been, thank you, Councilman Spitali. It's been moved and properly seconded to consider the staff's report as a preliminary finding of fact. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
Ann Herbert.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Thomas Kazmierzak.
Yes.
Dan Spitali. Sharon Zaney. Marcus Taylor. Dean Button.
Yes.
8 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Congratulations to the petitioner. You'll forward that on, Mr. Novak, to the City Council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank
you.
you, Mr. President.
Is there any other new business?
No.
Thank you. Correspondence. Any correspondence to the commission? Seeing none, commissioners, do you have any comments at this time? I would just say happy holidays to my fellow colleagues on the commission and to our staff and attorney and to the public. Next item on the agenda is staff comments. Mr. Novak or Mr. Poland, do you have any staff comments for the commission?
Just Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Mr. Poland?
To let everybody know that there will be a January Plan Commission meeting, and it is on a Tuesday, January 17th. Is that the right date, Shannon?
Yes.
Okay. Which is the day after Martin Luther King Day. At this point, it's only one petition, so hopefully it'll be a short meeting. And then, of course, happy holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Poland. I seem to recall that we received a schedule, there it is, of the Plan Commission, and I don't remember, does the commission doesn't need to adopt this schedule because it's a standing meeting listed
Yeah, it's,
public.
the only deviations were the Tuesday meetings that, commonly appear in January and February, but also, if everybody will remember, it will now occur in June due to, I'm sorry, what's it?
Juneteenth.
Thank you, Juneteenth holiday. And then we won't know about November and December until we get towards that time frame.
Thank you, Mr. Poland. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the Plan Commission at this time? Anyone in the audience wishing to address the Plan Commission? Anyone on Zoom? Seeing none, Mr. Poland mentioned the Plan Commission meeting that we will meet in January. So with that being said, there is no other business before this commission. The chair would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded by Commissioner Spitali, Councilman Spitali and Commissioner Brock to adjourn the meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
I'll take that as in favor. I speak too quickly, Commissioner Herbert. We are adjourned. Thank you.